Hello and welcome back to another episode of A Gentleman's Guide, Psychology, Male-Female Dynamics, and Dating. My name's Alexandre, I'm your host, and this is episode number 42. Today, I'm joined again by Danny Vera, who was already here in the last episode, in case you missed it. Danny is a coach and content creator who specializes in topics such as dating, fitness, mindset, and personal development. He's been coaching since 2019 and has worked with hundreds of clients all over the world. Danny, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Alex. Good to be back.
So Danny, a lot of your advice is about building yourself up to become the man that you're proud of. And I guess the dating success is just going to be a byproduct of that. Now imagine a coaching client comes to you and asks you to redesign his life and habits to be more effective or to be a more effective and attractive male. What would you tell that guy to focus on specifically?
Yeah, so the first thing is that you need to be operating at a higher frequency instead of a lower frequency. So that means removing a lot of the low frequency things that you're doing, watching porn, procrastinating, playing video games, sitting on the couch, eating Cheetos, eating shitty food all the time, that kind of thing, right? You need to get rid of those things first so we can start implementing the right kind of habits that are actually going to benefit you and boost your internal state. Because if you don't like yourself, if you don't respect yourself, it's going to reflect and it's going to have this ripple effect into every other area of your life.
Yeah.
And it's going to affect your dating results. It's going to affect your results just holistically. You're just not going to be at the top of your game with anything that you're doing. And then from there, we need to audit more of the things that you should be doing more of. So working out, again, eating right, dialing in your fashion, dialing in your grooming, the haircut, the facial hairstyle, losing fat or gaining muscle, all these things with your image, right? We want to dial in the image. Then we want to dial in your dating strategy. So do we need better photos and get you on dating apps? Are you even putting them? Are you even putting yourself out there to start with? What's your social life like? Do you just go, to work, the gym, and you just go back home, or do you actually socialize and try to make new connections with people, both men and women, to get yourself out there into different social circles? And then from there, we also need to optimize your communication. Are you the type of guy that when you talk, you project confidence and conviction, or do you stumble over your words and have kind of this meek, mild voice? These are all the things that we need to focus on. But step one is removing a lot of the things that are holding you back and only bringing you down. Yeah, so again, we need to do more of the high frequency stuff. Like as soon as you get up, you need to be in a high frequency state by doing more of the things that you should be doing, right? We need this internal state. Internal state is very important because whatever you're feeling inside, the people around you feel, right? You radiate a certain energy. Like there's truth to the concept of energy transference. Like whatever I'm feeling, you're going to feel, right? So if I hate myself and I'm depressed and I'm down and I don't respect myself, you're going to feel that, and women are definitely going to feel that. They see through that stuff like X-ray vision. So on a day-to-day basis, again, like I was saying, we have to do more of the things that you should be doing. And then from there, to get very like dating specific, I'm a fan of putting yourself out there in as many ways as possible. You should be looking at your schedule and going, okay, let me be honest with myself here. Outside of work and the obligations that I have, where can I free up more time to just get in front of more people, to get in front of the women that I actually want to date, to actually have a social life? What do I have to do to improve my online dating profile or my Instagram to have that going for me too? Because the online stuff is more of like a passive income to me. It generates leads for you without much effort once you have it up and running. But you should be maximizing your social life and putting yourself out there in more situations, and most guys just aren't doing that.
Now, I want to talk about opportunity costs. It's a big word, obviously, but how do you effectively filter women in different phases of dating? In other words, how do you avoid wasting time and effort on the wrong candidates?
Yeah, so up front, like when you first meet a woman, we're looking for things like, is this girl playing games? Is she doing this whole hard to get type of thing? Is she dry in text? Is she trying to make me chase her? Filter out a lot of these women. I don't like to deal with these types of women. The women that I like to deal with are the women that show that, reciprocal interest. I show interest in them. They show interest back. They're receptive to me leading the interaction to the date. They show up on time, and they're pleasant to deal with. So that's like the first thing, right? And the selection and filtering process on the front end is a huge part of this that will prevent you a lot of headaches. A lot of guys will just focus on the beauty of the girl and they keep pursuing this girl even though she's not clearly into you or she's not receptive to you. There's a lot of games, there's a lot of mixed signals. As a rule of thumb, if you feel mixed signals from a girl off the bat, or you're just unsure of what's even going on, just move on from the situation. Like don't sit there and bother with that, right? The reason for that is there's women that are just much simpler to deal with. There's plenty of beautiful women that are much simpler to deal with, and they won't have you jump through all these hoops and all this stuff, right? Now, more in the midterm and the long term, it's a deeper subject, but we're looking for the women who choose you, not just the women that we choose. Just because you find a girl hot doesn't mean that's going to solve everything, right? She has to choose you. You want the type of woman who's enthusiastic to be with you and wants to be with you genuinely and has that genuine desire and wants to add value to your life. And if she's not doing that, she's got to go.
Okay, excellent. I can definitely subscribe to that. Like talking about texting specifically, can you give us some examples of like kind of red flags in texting where you're like, okay, this woman isn't putting in the effort, or she's playing games, or she's doing something that should warn me that this is not a good candidate? Like, what type of texting interactions would you see with a girl like that?
Yeah, a girl who's just like very dry and never looks to expand the conversation. You're just asking her questions and she's asking nothing back. She doesn't invest anything into you. She doesn't care to find out anything about you. She's just really lazy. Long reply times, 10-hour reply times to a text. Things like that are just excessive because everyone has people have their phone in their hands all the time, especially women. So if a woman's taking 10, 11, 12 hours to reply to you, she's not into it, man. Like she doesn't actually like you like that. So those are like the most obvious things to look for. Also, women who just give like resistance that's just unnecessary. Like if you go to set a date and you're like you've made the approach or you've talked to her on the dating app, you're going through this whole process of setting up the date. It's under the assumption too that you're going to pay for the date, so on and so forth. And then you're like, hey, let's meet up at this place. And she's like, oh, I don't really like that place. Can we go somewhere else? Resistance like that are the things to watch for. Some guys will think that's very small. They'll think, oh, well, that's not a big deal. I'll just pick a different place. No, it's actually a big deal because a woman who's like genuinely into you and actually wants to meet you will be very easygoing. You make the plan and she'll show up, assuming that the plan is reasonable. But if a woman is making these objections and showing this resistance, she's not really into you like that.
Talking about after the first date, for example, let's imagine I had a lovely date with someone. What are the kind of behaviors to look out for where you're saying, I don't think this girl is interested? Because I think, in my experience, a lot of the times it's ambiguous. There's a lot of ambiguity. It's not very clear if she's interested or not. And I'm sometimes struggling, for example, myself to differentiate between, okay, is she like on the fence or is she not interested? What kind of behavior are you looking for?
I would assume the burden of having to, guide everything to the second dates. Usually the first couple dates, you're going to have to assume the burden of, asking her out again. And what you're really probing for though is her receptiveness. If she's like, oh, if you follow up and you say, hey, I'd like to go out again, and she says something like, oh, like, yeah, I'm really busy this week, maybe next week, or maybe when I come back from my trip. These types of wishy-washy answers aren't good because a woman who's genuinely into you, she'll be more eager to see you again, right? And when women, here's the thing, you have to experience the contrast between a woman who like really likes you and a woman who is just more low interest. Because once you experience these women who are truly into you, they really have that high genuine desire and they really appreciate you, they're very easy to set things up with. And sometimes they'll even try to set it up themselves. Sometimes a girl will say like, hey, when are we going out again, right? But you should really assume the burden, but you're really looking for that receptiveness. And again, if a girl's giving that resistance or, she's busy all the time magically all of a sudden, that's not good. Remember that there's no one busier than someone who's not into you. They're always busy when they're not into you. They always got something going on. But a woman who's really into you, she's got all kinds of freedom in her schedule.
So now, bonus question at the end. Do handsome men necessarily have it easier in dating? What do you think?
If you're handsome and attractive, it can open a lot more doors for you, obviously, right? It gets your foot in the door. It gets you the job interview, so to speak. Now, what happens after that, though, is up to your communication. And what happens to a lot of handsome guys is they rely on their looks, but they don't really have the communication or the understanding of attraction dynamics to actually back it up from there. So like if you walk into a nightclub, there's a good chance you're going to see guys in the back of the dance floor along the wall with their drink in their hand, just standing there trying to look cool or trying to look tough. And they're good looking guys, are good style, but they're not interacting with anybody. And women don't go after those kinds of guys. They're more likely to go after the guy who's more average looking, but who's in the middle of the dance floor having a great time dancing with everyone and smiling, and he's the life of the party. That's the type of vibe that women are drawn to, right? And that doesn't mean you have to be some dancing monkey and be something that you're not. But the idea is that your communication and your understanding of attraction dynamics is what really carries you. Your looks can open the door. It'll open more doors. And I'm always a fan of maximizing your look. It's very important because it'll make things easier more often than not. But it's not going to carry you the entire way. And if you're very good looking, there are some different challenges that can come up with that too. Girls will think you're a player. Girls will think that there's going to be another notch on your belt, right? Or girls may not feel good enough for you and they can even reject themselves. So there's different things that can happen, but it's always better to maximize your look, but it's just not everything.
So paradoxically, some handsome and charismatic men might find it actually harder to date sometimes. Is that one of the things you would say?
Yeah, because I mean, if you're a handsome guy, you need some of that charisma to go with it and good communication. But if you're handsome and charismatic, you still might be lacking an understanding of like male female communication and how attraction works, right? So you might be charismatic and you might be good at making friends, but you might be really bad at making romantic connections.
Yeah. So there's a whole like male female dynamic part to understand that maybe some men fail to understand, I guess.
Absolutely.
Cool, amazing, Danny. As always, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Where can people find you if they want to work with you?
So you can find me primarily on YouTube. My channel is at It's Danny Vera, and you can also find me on Instagram under the same username. And yeah, I primarily post to YouTube though. And if you want to work with me directly, I have an application link on my bio on my YouTube channel or under the description of all of my videos. So you can fill out an application, and I host an 8-week coaching program one-on-one with me. So if you're interested, be sure to check that out. And yeah, check out my YouTube channel, and that's where you can find me.
Awesome. I'm also gonna post like the link in the show notes so people can definitely find your different channels. And yeah, guys and gals, that was episode number 42 of Danny Vera. Thanks a bunch for joining us. As always, feel free to get in touch with me. It's alex@polygrotradio.com or DM me on Instagram at AGG_podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please follow and leave a review on YouTube, Spotify, or your favorite platform. And hey, why not send this episode to a friend? Until next time, may you find the love you deserve.